Chapter 1. Toxic Beginnings. A flash of light, then a breath of fresh air. The Bulbasaur was free from its Pokeball. He was in the lab that belonged to his trainer, an old man the Bulbasaur understood was called Oak. This place was familiar. These walls and the yard surrounding it was the only home the Bulbasaur had ever known. But today, something was different. There were two new humans with Oak. Young, confident humans. And to the Bulbasaur's surprise, one of these kids held his Pokeball. Instinct told the Bulbasaur what this meant, that he was no longer Oak's companion. Oak had given him to this kid, and like it or not, the Bulbasaur belonged with him now. Before the Bulbasaur could decide his feelings about this, his new trainer knelt beside him and rubbed him gently behind the ear. The Bulbasaur gave a satisfied sigh. Whoever this kid was, he seemed nice enough. The Bulbasaur thought he could get used to him. Pokemon couldn't understand the language of humans any more than humans could understand Pokemon. But simple concepts were easy enough to get. The trainer talked with the Bulbasaur for a while, and the Bulbasaur got the impression the kid's name was Edison. Edison repeated a word, each time patting the Bulbasaur on the head. Slughorn. The kid was calling him that, Slughorn. The Bulbasaur had a name now, and truth be told, he liked the sound of it. But the other kid, who both Oak and Edison called Dev, he was not so gentle. He snatched up another Pokeball from Oak's table and opened it in a flash of light. The Charmander appeared. Slughorn knew this Charmander. They had played together, both freshly hatched and under the care of the same old man. The Charmander made Slughorn nervous, not because of his attitude, but because of the fire flickering at the end of his tail. Slughorn feared that flame and was cautious playing together. "Hi, Bulbasaur," said the Charmander. He approached, upbeat and friendly, just two playmates greeting each other. Slughorn sensed something was different this time. They were playmates before, but now they belonged to different trainers. Although Slughorn had never been in a Pokemon battle before, the concept was instilled to all captured Pokemon. "It's Slughorn now," he said, a little guarded. Charmander's eyes lit up like the fire on his tail. "You have a name? Cool!" Charmander glanced back at Dev. "I wish I did." Slughorn felt bad for the Charmander. Dev didn't give the same kind impression of Edison. Dev was full of arrogance and pride. The human spoke. Dev pointed a finger at Edison. Even though Slughorn didn't understand the words, he recognized the challenge. He was about to have his first battle, and it was against his playmate, Charmander. Charmander looked between his trainer and Slughorn, apprehension growing. Do I have to?" Charmander asked. Of course, Dev was deaf to his pleas, and blind to the clear concern on his Pokemon's face. "These are our trainers now, Charmander," Slughorn said. "And this is a battle. We have to do as they say." Charmander swallowed. But you're my friend, Bulbasaur. I don't want to battle you." Slughorn closed his eyes and took a deep breath. The last thing he wanted to do was fight Charmander. But deep down, beneath the fears and worries on the surface, Slughorn felt a deep loyalty to his trainer. He had a purpose now, and he was determined to be the best Pokemon this trainer ever had. "Not anymore," Slughorn said. "Loyalty comes first, Charmander. Our loyalty belongs to our trainers now." Dev shouted more commands, frustrated at the lack of action. Charmander looked scared and hurt. His trainer was uncaring, and one of his few friends turned against him. Slughorn hated that look, knowing he had helped put it there, but this was how it had to be. Slughorn looked to Edison, who nodded, and the battle began. It all happened so fast. Slughorn's memories were a blur. They were both too young to develop type-specific moves. This battle was all clawing and scratching. Bulbasaur knew the battle was close, that they were evenly matched, hit for hit. But Charmander had the edge. Slughorn had to be extra cautious around that tail, and that added care made Slughorn vulnerable. Somewhere in the middle of it, Slughorn fainted. He thought it was all over, that he hit the end of the road. His time with the trainer was short, but Slughorn wouldn't have traded those few minutes for the world. In those minutes, he had purpose. Slughorn woke up later, under the blankets of a soft bed. For the most part, he had recovered from the battle. When he glanced at his reflection in the mirror, he saw that was not true. A scar formed over one of his eyes. A scratch from Charmander, which would serve as a reminder that he was defeated in his first fight. Slughorn stared at his reflection and made a commitment. He would improve. He would not be caught defenseless again. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw someone moving outside the window. Slughorn climbed up on the windowsill and watched Charmander following his trainer away from town to the untold dangers beyond Route 1. At the last moment, Charmander glanced back, and for a moment their eyes met. The look on Charmander's face was filled with mixed emotions. Sadness, betrayal, fear, and even a little anger. Slughorn knew one thing for certain. Things would never be the same between them. Now, they were rivals. Slughorn watched in wonder as the Pokeball arced through the air, struck the Pidgey, and enclosed it in a flash of light. The ball jiggled a few times, then the light changed from red to white. This is it, Slughorn thought. Now I'm part of a team. He saw Edison throw a fist into the air, excited as could be. He ran over, picked up the Pokeball, and examined it with a smile. Buckbeak, Edison said. Slughorn couldn't pick out all the words, but he understood that was the name he gave the Pidgey. Buckbeak. Slughorn was thrilled. Since Viridian City was still a long way away, they rested at Edison's house. He had a nest of blankets and pillows made up on the floor beside his bed. Buckbeak rested on one of them. Slughorn watched after Buckbeak, tending to the wounds he himself caused. He was careful not to be too rough with Buckbeak. He didn't want to knock him out, only make the catch easier. Now he enjoyed the chance to undo the damage he did. The Pidgey stirred awake. When he saw Slughorn, he shied away. The last thing he remembered was their battle, and he was understandably nervous. It's okay, Slughorn comforted. You're alright. We're allies now. The Pidgey relaxed slightly. Slughorn knew the influence a Pokeball had on a Pokemon. It changed their demeanor, created a sense of loyalty to their trainer. He heard Oak explain these effects several times, and how dangerous wild Pokemon can be, untamed, bowing to no master. Okay, said the Pidgey. And we're safe here? Slughorn smiled. Safe as can be. My name's Slughorn. And guess what? You have a name too. The Pidgey looked surprised. I have a name? Mm-hmm. Slughorn put a stumpy leg around Pidgey's shoulder in a half hug. Welcome to the team, Buckbeak. The Pidgey's eyes glistened with tears, and Slughorn knew that Buckbeak was experiencing the same as he did, a sense of belonging and purpose. And for the first time since his new trainer, Slughorn had a real friend. Together, Edison, Slughorn, and Buckbeak hiked through Route 1. Buckbeak wasn't very strong, but Slughorn gladly trained alongside him. He stepped in to support Buckbeak whenever he needed it, and they quickly formed a strong friendship. Never had Slughorn been so happy. He had a trainer, and now he had a team. Not only that, but Buckbeak looked up to him. Slughorn was a leader, and was determined to be a good one. The group visited Viridian City. Both of the Pokemon thought the city was impressive, but Edison was eager to find a new Pokemon to catch. So was Slughorn. He was just as excited as his trainer to grow this team and take another Pokemon under his leaf. When they encountered the Weedle, Slughorn told Buckbeak to fight it. If you wanted to catch a Pokemon, it was important to weaken it, but not knock it out. Buckbeak was nervous, but already Slughorn's warrior spirit rubbed off on the brave little Pidgey. Soon, Slughorn saw his mistake. Although Buckbeak was a bird, the logical choice against a bug, Weedle was equipped with effective self-defense. On its head was a sharp needle, at least 2 inches in length. The sting would hurt, but the venom within that needle was the real danger. Slughorn didn't realize until it was too late. Buckbeak was stung, and Slughorn saw the color in his face go pale. Slughorn charged at the Weedle, drawing its attention away from Buckbeak and to him instead. A Pokeball flew through the air, and the Weedle disappeared within it. Slughorn didn't even look to see the button on the ball click white. All of his attention was on Buckbeak. It was bad. Slughorn understood poison, and could see the effects pulsing through Buckbeak's bloodstream. If they didn't get help soon, it would be too late. "Hurry!" Slughorn shouted to Edison, who only heard it as, "Bulba!" Slughorn. Slughorn didn't slow down. He kept carrying his friend at a frantic pace. He could see the Pokemon Center in the distance. It was still far, but maybe he could make it. He had to try. "Slughorn," Buckbeak repeated. "Slow down." "I'll protect you, Buckbeak," Slughorn said through clenched teeth. "I promise, I won't let you down." He glanced up at the Pidgey on his back, and his heart sank. The poison had spread too far. Buckbeak's face was covered in purple lines. Being poison himself, Slughorn instinctively understood the stages and effects toxins have on the body, and one look told him it was too late. The poison would claim him within a minute. "Buckbeak!" Slughorn lowered his friend onto the road. He straightened the Pidgey's ruffled feathers in an attempt to make him look better. Uncontrolled tears rolled down Slughorn's face. "I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have sent you out against him. It's all my fault." Buckbeak laid a wing on Slughorn's cheek. "Don't," he said. "You gave me purpose. Thank you, Slughorn." The last of Buckbeak's life left in a gentle breath. Then the poison finished its job. For a few moments, Slughorn was locked in perfect silence. He was frozen by the magnitude of what happened. Then all of his feelings exploded in a fit of rage. He pounded the pavement, spitting curses with every breath. Slowly, the Weedle approached from behind Slughorn. Edison named him Neville, although Slughorn paid it little attention at the time. "I'm sorry," Neville mumbled. "I didn't mean to. There was no other way." Slughorn went still. "Sorry," he said. You think you're sorry? Slughorn turned from his fallen friend and gave Neville a look more toxic than that sting. No, you're not sorry. Not yet, you're not.